Right, these things don't work. Oh, I love that one. Yeah, you might be legit, you might not be a scam, you might be here to last, but they don't work. The journalists love this one, especially radio DJs. I've heard lots of, these things, they'll never work on the radio. I'm like, you have no clue what you're talking about, but that can be quite a common thread there. These things don't work. Let's have a listen to what Lynette's got to say about that.
I say, in the first place, this is not a thing. It's a real business. It's registered, licensed, and listed. But I can appreciate that you are scared of things because there's been so many things that didn't work. DealPoint is working for the past 7 years. But in fact, DealPoint is not working. You need to use the system. DealPoint is licensed. It's registered. It's got its own FSP number. And most of the major service providers are on board. So I love DealPoint because it is the best and the most affordable business opportunity in the whole world. This is not a joke or a scam. It's a real business. But it's absolutely amazing. Well, if you really still not believe in a real registered and licensed business, maybe DealPoint is not for you. I always say, get on your feet and look for a job.
I love it. No mincing her words there. I'll sort you right out. These things don't work. All right, so let's look at the fact. The proof is in the pudding. I mentioned this a little bit earlier. If you're going to see if something actually works or not, well, then look at it. Let's look and see. Does it actually work? You know, if it's a BMW, does it drive like a BMW? You know? All right, so the question is, if you're going to accuse me of these things don't work, have you properly researched DealPoint? Have you looked into it? That's my response to the person who says that. And I go, are people making money and having their lives changed through DealPoint? That's the question. Because that shows us if it's working. Well, you'll go and find hundreds and hundreds of testimonies of just the people we filmed on our books. We know how many people we pay, thousands every month, are earning a regular income from DealPoint. Okay, that means it could be working. Okay, study the evidence. That's when I'm talking to someone who said to me, these things don't work, I say, you can't make that statement until you have studied the evidence. Most people, like the pyramid scheme, will say it's a pyramid scheme without being able to define it. They haven't done any work on understanding what a pyramid scheme is before accusing us of being it. In this case, we say that all these things don't work. I go, really? Study the evidence. Do we know that network marketing, which we are not necessarily, we partly that, network marketing has been the only industry in the world to have grown every year since 2007. So since 2000, mining, holidaying, what's the word I'm looking for? Mining, leisure industries, banking, insurance, none of them have grown every year globally since 2007. Some have grown some years, but none have grown every single year. Network marketing has. It has. So if these things don't work, why is it the only growing industry every year since 2007? Why? Okay, look at the evidence. At DealPoint, we give you plenty of spots to go and look at the evidence. YouTube, Facebook, our movers and shakers. The evidence is there. We get our radio DJs that make statements like this. Only 2% of people succeed at these kinds of businesses. Okay, only 2% of people succeed in this kind of business. That's excellent. As compared to what? What are we comparing it to? If I ask you how many people succeed at traditional income, traditional employment, how many people succeed? Well, you see, it's a completely unlimited statement. What are the criteria for measuring success? They don't tell you. They just go, no, only 2% of people succeed. No. We need a criteria. So what's our line in the sand? So I put a line in the sand. I say people who are earning more than 50,000 Rand a month. That sounds like success to me. If you were earning 50,000 Rand a month, your life would be pretty good, wouldn't it? Okay, 600,000 Rand a year. So let's put that line in the sand. Only people who earn 50,000 Rand a month or more have succeeded. Okay, excellent. Well, then let's look at that when we look at traditional employment. 0.5% of people make that statistic. It used to be 100,000, but things have got worse, and now it's dropped to 50,000, okay? So in South Africa today, only 0.5% of traditionally employed people earn more than 50,000 Rand a month. Only 0.5%. So do we say, therefore, that in traditional employment, only 0.5% of people succeed? Oh, then the DJs start back spinning like crazy. No, you can't do that. You can't. And I go, but you've got to tell me what this measurement is here. You're saying that only 2% of people succeed at these things. Well, we need a line in the sand to understand that. So let's call it 50,000 Rand a month. Okay. So if 2% of people are earning more than 50,000 Rand a month in these kind of things, and only 0.5% are earning that much in traditional employment, that means that these things are 4 times more successful than traditional employment. 400% more people succeed at this kind of business than people in traditional employment. 400%. Oh, these things don't work. Oh, I see. Why is this the case? The reason that people fail at everything at life, not just these things, but everything at life, is because they're unwilling to put in the time and the energy. The guy who becomes CEO in your business, he works 100 times harder than you do. He is also at 100 times more risk than you do. Do you know when you see in the paper the CEO of I think it was Woolworths, earned 100 million Rand, and this is disgusting. This is appalling. All of his laborers who only earn 10,000 Rand a month have been screwed over by the CEO who earns 100 million Rand a month. A year, rather. Do you know how much more risk he's at, personally? Do you know he goes to prison if he breaks any of the laws in the country? Do any of those laborers go to prison if they break a law? No, they don't, but he will. Because they'll make an example of him, won't they? More than that, he works 7 days a week, and he works 24 hours a day. When he's sleeping, do you think he's dreaming about his holiday or his weekend? No, he's dreaming about Woolworths. He's dreaming about the thousands of people that could put him in prison with what they do. People don't understand free markets. They don't understand it. You get paid what you're worth. It's a meritocracy. And if the guys, the shareholders at Woolworths go, this guy's increased our business from $1 billion to $10 billion, I'll pay him $100 million a year. The laborers didn't increase his business from $1 billion to $10 billion. They didn't do that. He led the laborers to assist in getting them there, for sure. And their hands on the job got him there, but he had to lead them. So they paid him. Okay. Now, why is it then that we've got these ratios? For exactly the same reason. I've got a room full of you here, and I've got a couple thousand people watching me on this camera. How many of you are going to eat, sleep, and dream due point? Well, I know how many. 2%, according to the DJs. 2% of you. And you know what that means? It means that this business works. Because I can't pay 100% of you. There's not enough money in the 200 and something and the 300 and something and the 600 something rands. There's not enough money in it. But for the 2% of you, I can make you wealthy. I can make you wealthy. And so the decision comes down to you. It's not the system. It's not the system. I think I've got a point here. Yeah. It's not the system that dictates the outcome, which is what they want to say. These things don't work, as if it's the system. But in every one of these things, they've been the wealthy. Even the ones that limited your income, the year mods, the quartering, the limited team size, even in those, they were the guys that got wealthy. Because they were the guys that chose to do the work. Every day, all day. Not for an hour on Friday, 14 hours a day, every day. They got the Ferraris, they got the houses, they got the overseas trips. Because they did the work. But it can be any one of you. That's the beauty of this business. We're not going to choose. We are not going to choose who it is. We're putting the tool down on the desk. And we're saying, anyone, all of you can pick that tool up. And all of you can be part of that 2%. And maybe, at due point, we make it 10% or 20%. Maybe. Because it can be anyone. We don't have a limit on that number. I'm just telling you what people say. It can be any number of you. You've got to choose to do it. Some of you this morning will say, well, if only 2% succeed, then I'm not going to do this. Isn't that beautiful? Because immediately what you've said is you've self-selected yourself out. Because we don't know if it's 2%. I actually think it's much higher. But you're self-selecting yourself out because you don't want to do the work.